Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 4 articles in this episode for you. The URLs are in the description of this video for your convenience, so you can look them up to see. Whoops, let's get that shut off. So you can look up whatever research you need to look up in them. The first one we have here is off of and it says FBI investigating identities of masked rioters at UC Berkeley protest. Officials are trying to determine the identities of a small group of black-clad rioters who became violent during a protest despite commentators' appearance at the UC Berkeley. According to the Associated Press, police said a small masked group wearing black showed up as night fell to riot against a talk given by Milo Yiannopoulos, editor of Breitbart News. The identities of the masked rioters are still unknown, and FBI has been called to assist in the investigation, BerkeleySide.com reported. Nearly 1,500 people were protesting peacefully outside the building when the group joined in and began moving metal barricades. Officials said they had thrown the barriers through the building's windows within minutes of their arrival. Spokesman Dan Mogluoff, I think it's pronounced, said the suspects came in military fashion and were well rehearsed. They acted as a coordinated force that essentially raided the campus. Authorities told the Associated Press the masked group began breaking windows, throwing smoke bombs and flares, and started a huge fire outside the building where the appearance was taking place. This was a group of agitators who were masked up, throwing rocks, commercial-grade fireworks, and Molotov cocktails at officers, UC Berkeley Police Chief Margot Bennett said. The violence caused $100,000 in damage. The next article is off of BizPac Review. It says, indicted former Democratic Congresswoman once flew with Obama, hobnobbed with Pelosi, now 57 years in prison and $4.8 million in restitution. The former Florida Congresswoman, Corrine Brown, found herself in federal court Thursday facing charges of diverting hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations to a nonprofit organization for her own personal use. Brown was perched on top of the world before her indictment. She was one of Secretary Hillary Clinton's superdelegates, sat beside President Barack Obama on Air Force One, and hobnobbed with House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, according to the Washington Examiner. But her days of wine and roses are over. She's accused of 24 counts of pocketing scholarship funds earmarked for school children from the charitable organization One Door for Education. Guilty on all charges, she can be sentenced to 357 years in prison and fined $4.8 million, according to the Examiner. One Door funds allegedly went in one door and out the other. She was indicted last year along with her then chief of staff, Elias Ronnie Simmons, and now that he's already pled guilty to fraud charges, and as a result of the scheme, he's expected to testify against her. And there's some video in this if you want to take a look at it. It says, for 7 months now, the fundamental premise of Ms. Brown's defense was that she and Mr. Simmons are not guilty. Brown's attorney, James W. Smith III, said, according to the Florida Times-Union. And with Simmons' plea weighing heavily on Brown's defense, her attorney took a cue from Senate Democrats delaying approval of President Trump's cabinet picks and asked for a 60-day delay in the trial. Denied, but the judge left the door open just a crack, the Times-Union reported. U.S. District Judge Timothy Corrigan rejects the request, but told Smith he could ask again as late as March 9th. But to do that, document steps he has taken to prepare for the trial and ways the problem created by Simmons' plea change could be addressed with another 2-month prepare. Corrigan observed that Last year, both prosecution and defense had agreed to the March 16th trial date. We pointed toward this date, and we should do what we can to meet this date, the court said. Brown has more than a passing acquaintance with controversy, the Examiner reported. Shortly after she won election in 1992, the Federal Election Commission accused Brown of violating numerous campaign finance laws. Most notably, she accepted donations from foreign citizens and failed to report the use of corporate plane. And that's just the tip of the ethical iceberg. A convenient rap sheet put together last July by the Florida Times Union documents every allegation of wrongdoing brought against Brown during her 27-year career. Hollywood couldn't have better script some of the highlights. Brown represented Florida's 5th congressional district, in which includes part of Duval, Clay, Putnam, Alachua, Volusia, Marion Lake, Seminole, and Orange counties. She was succeeded by Representative Alfred Lawson Jr., who is also a member of the Democratic Party. Stuff up. Wow. The next one here is off of USA Watchdog. It says, Empire strikes back on Trump. Catherine Austin Fitts. Investment advisor Catherine Austin Fitts says the oligarch or establishment class is on the attack. She calls this latest chapter in the Trump administration the Empire Strikes Back. Fitts explains, number one, Trump came into Washington with an agenda that would really make America great again. Tax reform, regulatory relief, infrastructure. Whoops, there we go. Scrolling a little too quick on me. Now, let me get my place back here. Tax reform, regulatory relief, infrastructure, and Obamacare. Immediately, he got bogged down in those for a variety of reasons. If you look at Congress constituents, they can't make money solving these things, particularly if it helps regular people. So immediately you bog down on those issues. He's trying to get his cabinet in place. In the meantime, you have the empire worried about a variety of things. If you want to slow down or make sure the only thing he can get through Congress are things that are good for what I call the piggies, the first thing you do is take out their loyal lieutenants. You take them out and try to put space between him and his lieutenants. Fitts, who was an assistant secretary of housing in the first Bush administration, goes on to say the U.S. bureaucracy is huge and very complex, and it's a matrix structure. The thing you want to do is or try that again. The thing you want to do is bullocks him up in the structure. The reason you want to bullocks with a bureaucracy or the courts is then you bring everything into the mud and complicate their lives and make things harder to do. What you are seeing is the war between the piggies and the Titanic turners. The big question is, can Trump learn how to play the game? How does Trump win? Fitts contends Trump wins by staying focused on the real issues. The U.S. economy needs a variety of things, including turning the federal budget around. The reality is the federal budget has a negative return to taxpayers. Turned positive. That comes down to tax reform, infrastructure, and it comes down to Obamacare. Trump is the Titanic turner, and he needs to stick to the big issues. He has to make sure the leader does not destroy his top lieutenants and put space between him and them. Otherwise, the pigs are going to step in and run things. In closing, Fitts says, what's killing this economy is corruption and lawlessness. That's what's killing the economy. We need to deal with these problems. There is some video in this if you want to pull it up to view that. And I'm trying to get past the video here. Here we go. It says, after the interview, Fitts adds that Trump is up against evil forces who want an inhuman society. The evil forces against him say Trump is crazy. Fitts says everyone should keep in mind Trump is not crazy for wanting a human society. free information on Solari.com. You can also get the rich analysis and up-to-date reports from Fitz and her team by subscribing to the Solari report. And there is a link. Click to obtain that. I have in this episode is off Liberty Riders, and it says, Mike Pence just got on stage and promised our troops 3 wonderful things. This is why we love Mike Pence. He's a true patriot, and he loves our troops. Doesn't it feel great to have a man in government that cares about the men and women that give their lives for this country? It's a lot better than having Obama. Mike Pence and Donald Trump are making it a priority for Americans to start respecting our military again, thank God. He puts out some tweets here in this, and it says, that's right, he made a promise to our troops. He has always made this promise. Here is Pence several years ago in a video, if you want to pull it up to view that. It says, here is what he promises our troops. And he does this in tweets. He says, under POTUS Trump's leadership, I can promise our soldiers 3 things. POTUS and I will always have the backs of our soldiers. They will have everything they need to defeat our enemies and protect our country. POTUS and I will always have our, wait a minute, second here. Second, know that our soldiers and their families will always have POTUS, Trump, and my prayers and the prayers of the entire American people. Last, know that POTUS and I will always support our troops, not second guess them, and will never call their service or sacrifice a failure. So glad that we have left the Obama years for good. Give our troops a God bless in the comments just for the hell of it. So there you have all of the articles I have in this episode for you. If you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And if you haven't subscribed yet, try that. That way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.